Hello everyone and welcome back to Learn English with Podcasts. I'm Jack.
And I'm Emma. In today's episode, we're going to dive into three important topics in English grammar modals: conditional sentences with if and expressions with wish. These structures are essential for expressing possibility, giving advice, talking about hypothetical situations, and expressing regrets or desires.
That's right, Emma. We'll break down how and when to use these structures, provide lots of examples, and explore various situations where they're commonly used. Let's get started. Emma, let's start with modals. What exactly are modals and why are they important in English?
Modals are auxiliary verbs that express ability, possibility, permission, obligation, and other related meanings. They are important because they help us convey different shades of meaning, such as whether something is certain, likely, possible, or necessary.
Can you give us some examples of modals?
Sure. Here are some common modals. Can ability or permission. Example, I can swim. Could past ability or polite requests. Example, could you help me? May permission or possibility. Example, you may leave early. Might possibility. Example, it might rain later. Must obligation or strong necessity. Example, you must wear a seatbelt. Should advice or recommendation. Example, you should study for the exam. Shall formal suggestions or offers. Example, shall we go?
Let's start with can and could. When do we use these modals?
Can is used to talk about ability or to give or ask for permission. Could is used as the past form of can to talk about past abilities, and it's also used to make polite requests or suggestions.
Could you give some examples?
Absolutely. Ability, can I play the guitar? Permission, can I leave early? Past ability, could when I was younger, I could run fast. Polite request, could you pass the salt?
So if I want to ask for something politely, I'd say, could you help me with this?
Exactly, Jack. Could is perfect for making polite requests or talking about past abilities.
Emma, what about may and might? How do we use these modals?
May is used to express permission or a strong possibility, while might is used to express a weaker possibility. Both are often used when talking about things that could happen in the future.
Can you provide some examples?
Sure. Permission, you may go now. Strong possibility, I may go to the party if I finish my work. Weaker possibility, she might come to the meeting, but she's not sure.
So if I'm uncertain about something, I'd say I might go out tonight.
Exactly. Might indicates that something is possible, but not certain.
Emma, must and have to both express obligation. How are they different?
Must is used for strong obligations, often imposed by the speaker, while have to is used for external obligations or rules. Both convey that something is necessary, but must can sound more urgent or personal.
Could you give us examples?
Certainly. Strong obligation, you must wear a helmet. External obligation, I have to finish this report by tomorrow.
So if there's a rule or law, I'd say I have to follow the speed limit.
Exactly, Jack. Have to is used for obligations that come from outside sources like rules or laws. What about should and ought to? When do we use these? Should and ought to are used to give advice or make recommendations. They're similar in meaning, but should is more common, especially in everyday conversation.
Examples?
Sure. Advice, you should get more sleep. Recommendation, you ought to see a doctor.
So if I'm giving someone advice like telling them to study, I'd say, you should study for the exam?
Exactly. Should is perfect for giving advice or making recommendations.
Emma, shall is a modal we don't hear as often in everyday conversation. When is it used?
Shall is more common in British English and is used for making offers, suggestions, or asking for advice, especially with I and we. It's also used in formal writing or legal contexts.
Can you give us some examples?
Certainly. Offer, shall I open the window? Suggestion, shall we go out for dinner? Asking for advice, what shall I do next?
So if I'm making a polite offer, like offering to help, I could say, shall I help you with that?
Exactly, Jack. Shall is great for polite offers and suggestions, especially in more formal situations.
Now, let's move on to conditional sentences, often known as if clauses. Emma, what are conditional sentences and why are they important?
Conditional sentences describe situations that depend on a certain condition being met. They're important because they allow us to talk about possibilities, hypothetical situations, and their potential outcomes.
How many types of conditional sentences are there?
There are 4 main types of conditionals. Zero conditional, used for general truths or situations that are always true. First conditional, used for real and possible situations in the future. Second conditional, used for hypothetical or unlikely situations in the present or future. Third conditional, used for hypothetical situations in the past that didn't happen.
Emma, let's start with the zero conditional. When do we use it?
The zero conditional is used for general truths or facts that are always true. It's often used to talk about scientific facts or habitual actions.
Can you give some examples?
Absolutely. General truth: if you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. Habitual action: if I wake up early, I go for a run.
So, if I'm talking about something that always happens, like getting tired if I don't sleep, I'd say if I don't sleep well, I get tired?
Exactly, Jack. The zero conditional is perfect for expressing situations that are always true.
What about the first conditional? When do we use it?
The first conditional is used to talk about real and possible situations that might happen in the future if a certain condition is met. It's often used to discuss plans or predictions.
Examples?
Sure. Real possibility: if it rains tomorrow, I will stay home. Plan: if I finish my work early, I'll go out with friends.
So, if I'm talking about something that could happen tomorrow, like going to the beach, if it's sunny, I'd say if it's sunny, I will go to the beach.
Exactly. The first conditional is great for discussing real possibilities in the future.
Now, let's move on to the second conditional. When do we use this one?
The second conditional is used for hypothetical or unlikely situations in the present or future. It's often used to talk about dreams, wishes, or things that are unlikely to happen.
Could you give us some examples?
Of course.
Hypothetical situation: if I were rich, I would travel the world.
Unlikely future event: if it snowed in July, I would be shocked.
So, if I'm imagining a different life, like winning the lottery, I'd say if I won the lottery, I would buy a big house.
Exactly, Jack. The second conditional is perfect for imagining hypothetical or unlikely scenarios.
Finally, let's talk about the third conditional. When do we use it?
The third conditional is used to talk about hypothetical situations in the past that didn't happen. It's often used to express regrets or imagine how things could have been different.
Examples?
Sure. Regret: if I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. Imagining a different past: if I had known about the party, I would have gone.
So if I'm thinking about something I wish I had done differently, like studying more, I'd say if I had studied more, I would have gotten a better grade.
Exactly. The third conditional is perfect for talking about missed opportunities or imagining different outcomes in the past. Now, let's move on to wish statements. Emma, how do we use wish in English? Wish is used to express a desire for something that isn't true or is unlikely to happen. It's commonly used to talk about regrets, hypothetical situations, or hopes.
What are the different ways we can use wish?
There are 3 main ways to use wish. Wish past simple, to express regret or desire about the present. Wish past perfect, to express regret about the past. Wish would, to express a desire for someone else's actions or for a change in the future.
Emma, how do we use wish with the past simple to talk about the present?
When we use wish with the past simple, we're expressing a desire or regret about something in the present that we'd like to be different.
Can you give some examples?
Certainly. Regret about the present: I wish I knew how to play the piano. Desire about the present: I wish I had more free time.
So, if I want to say I wish I was somewhere else right now, I'd say I wish I were at the beach.
Exactly, Jack. When using wish with the past simple, you're expressing a desire for something different in the present.
What about using wish with the past perfect, Emma? How does that work?
When we use wish with the past perfect, we're expressing regret about something that happened or didn't happen in the past.
Examples?
Sure. Regret about the past. I wish I had studied harder for the exam. Another example, I wish I had gone to the concert.
So if I regret not doing something in the past, like calling a friend, I'd say I wish I had called my friend.
Exactly. Using wish with the past perfect is perfect for expressing regrets about the past. Finally, let's talk about using wish with would. When do we use this structure? We use wish with would to express a desire for someone else's actions or for a change in a future situation. It's often used when we want something to be different or for someone to act differently.
Could you give some examples?
Of course. Desire for someone's actions. I wish you would stop smoking. Desire for a change. I wish it would stop raining.
So if I'm hoping someone will change their behavior, like being more punctual, I'd say I wish you would arrive on time.
Exactly, Jack. Wish with would is used to express desires for changes or for someone else's actions. Scene 16. Practical situations with modals, if clauses, and wish statements.
Let's go through some practical situations where modals, if clauses, and wish statements are commonly used.
Sure. Let's look at a few scenarios. Situation 1. Asking for permission.
Can I borrow your book? Modal can.
Sure. You can borrow it for the weekend. Modal can. Situation 2. Giving advice.
I'm not sure if I should take the job offer. Modal should.
You should consider it carefully before deciding. Modal should. Situation 3. Talking about a future possibility.
If it rains tomorrow, I'll cancel the picnic. First conditional.
If it's sunny, we can still go. First conditional. Situation 4. Imagining a different present.
I wish I were in Paris right now. Wish past simple.
Me too. It's such a beautiful city. Wish past simple. Situation 5. Regretting the past.
I wish I had studied more for the exam. Wish past perfect.
I wish I had too. We could have done better. Wish past perfect. Situation 6. Expressing desire for change.
I wish you would clean up your room. Wish would.
I'll do it later. I promise. Modal will.
Emma, what are some common mistakes learners make with modals, if clauses, and wish statements, and how can they avoid them?
A common mistake with modals is using the wrong modal for the situation. For example, using can instead of could in polite requests. To avoid this, think about the level of formality and choose the appropriate modal. With if clauses, learners often confuse the different types of conditionals. Practice identifying the condition and the result to choose the correct structure. For wish statements, a common mistake is using the wrong tense. Remember, use the past simple for present wishes, the past perfect for past regrets, and would for future desires or someone else's actions.
Emma, how do we combine modals, if clauses, and wish statements in everyday conversation?
Combining these structures is all about understanding the context and choosing the right form for what you want to express. You might start with an if clause to set up a condition, use a modal to express possibility or advice, and follow up with a wish statement to express a desire or regret.
Can you give an example of a conversation that combines these elements?
Absolutely. Here's a dialogue.
If I had known about the meeting, I would have prepared better. Third conditional.
You should check your email more often. Modal should.
I wish I had remembered to do that. Wish past perfect.
Next time, you can set a reminder on your phone. Modal can.
Emma, do you have any tips for our listeners on mastering modals, if clauses, and wish statements?
Definitely. Here are some tips. Practice in context. Use these structures in conversations or writing exercises that reflect real-life situations. Pay attention to the meaning. Think about what you want to express, whether it's ability, advice, possibility, or a hypothetical situation, and choose the correct structure. Use visual aids. Create charts or timelines to help you visualize the different types of conditionals and wish statements. Listen and observe. Pay attention to how native speakers use modals, if clauses, and wish statements in conversations, movies, and TV shows.
Emma, we've covered a lot in this episode. What are your final thoughts on mastering modals, if clauses, and wish statements?
These structures are incredibly useful for expressing a wide range of ideas in English. By understanding how to use modals, if clauses, and wish statements, you can communicate more effectively and naturally. The key is to practice regularly and pay attention to the context in which these structures are used.
I couldn't agree more, Emma. With practice, anyone can become comfortable using these essential grammar tools.
Absolutely, Jack. We encourage all our listeners to incorporate these structures into their daily language use. The more you practice, the more natural they'll become. That concludes our extended episode on modals, if clauses, and wish statements. We hope you found it educational and helpful in your journey to mastering English grammar. Thank you for joining us on this detailed exploration of these important structures. We appreciate your support and encourage you to keep practicing and learning.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and like this video. Your engagement helps us continue to bring you informative and valuable content.
Until next time, this is Emma.
And this is Jack. Goodbye.
Bye. Remember to leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Together we can learn and make a difference.